Hello once again, Star Wars Unboxing fans. Welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba's Star Wars Unboxing Show, Shelf Talk. And today we have this shelf right here, okay? I have done some episodes before with these lower shelves, but I decided for today I wanted to focus mainly on this one. It's primarily going to be Star Wars jumbo figures, retro jumbo figures that Gentle Giant put out, but there's a few other things in there. So why don't we just get our, first of all, our little display case here. Let's get that opened up. Okay, we'll start with this half. So we've got a lot of fun ones here. Now, I will be honest with you. I fear that I might have already done some of these, so if I'm repeating myself, please forgive me. There is a lot in this collection, and there is no, I wouldn't say there's no rhyme or reason for how I do it, but I am trying to kind of work my way around, and sometimes I get kind of, you know, things kind of shift gears, so bear with me. Sometimes I forget if I did something in an unboxing or if I did something in a shelf talk. So if I do it and I repeat myself, well, then you just have twice as many times to enjoy it if you'd like. So right out of the gate here, we'll get some of our smaller ones out of the way. Of course, we've got this is R2, not like any R2 from the original, but does this usually work? There it is. Pop open saber. This is actually from the Droids cartoon series. So, which of course can't have that without 3PO. This is of course the paint scheme that was used for the Droids cartoon series. I think these were exclusives, so repaints, but that's all right. And of course some of these came with coins. R2 and 3PO came with metallized coins. This is R2, this is 3PO, and then you can see on the back the Droids logo. Kind of a hard cartoon to watch, I won't lie. It's definitely something. It's the animation is great. I won't fault that. In fact, speaking of, this is of course Boba Fett, my shirt from the holiday special series, but you also get, this is actually not something I bought off of TeePublic or anything. This was actually an official licensed Lucasfilm design from Uniqlo. So if you're ever in Uniqlo, I think I had to pick it up in Walt Disney World, in Disney Springs, although it might be available in other places as well. So check it out, $14.40. So one of the cheapest shirts, and it's a really, really nice shirt. All right, moving on, we've got, we'll keep going with the little guys. We've got little Wicket. I love Wicket. It's just funny how little he is, and yet he's still huge here. So the original little Wicket figure is crazy. And then of course we have Han. Now this is Han in Carbonite Han, and somewhere around here I have the Carbonite slab, but it's not in this space. I'm not exactly sure where it is. It's around somewhere. But here's Han, and he comes with a coin too. These were the figures that were part of the Power of the Force figure, the Power of the Force line. And so they have the Power of the Force logos and everything, and this included the coin. What I love about the coins is that they actually, I bumped my ring into it, they're metal, okay, as opposed to the original coins, which were just a kind of a vacuum-formed plastic. Okay, and we have, of course, this was kind of hidden behind the dividing line here. Ooh, okay, hopefully the Emperor with his cane and his coin. Some cool stuff there. Continuing on a little bit with this side, we have two more here. We'll kind of get them out two at a time. The Death Star droid and 21B. Take care, sir. Always loved, I knew that when I started collecting these that it would start to snowball. Here's Bespin Han Solo. The one complaint I have about these figures is that they don't always hold their weapons. You have to kind of force it in and hope it doesn't, spit out. So far, they seem to be doing all right. Here's an example of one that's not doing that well. Is Mr. Gamorrean Guard. Love the figure. And here's his battle axe. But I try to get it in here. Oh, great. Now it works. Thank you, Mr. Only on camera. So, beautiful, but that's okay. So, there he is. Probably would more likely do it this way. But you see, then it starts to get loose. So, who knows? We'll see. But we'll keep it on there. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Gamorrean Guard. Interestingly enough, the figures are the same price. They're generally $80, through Gentle Giant. No matter which figure you get, it's $80. So that kind of comes into play, interestingly, when you think of the fact that little Wicket, let me just show you these two again. Look at the amount of plastic on this one versus the amount of plastic on this one. I think it averages out, though. This guy's a little less. This guy's a lot more. So I guess it's all right. But not really a complaint. Just an interesting observation. Of course, you can find them for cheaper in other places if you look on the secondhand market. You've got Lando. You've got Bosk. Lando's got his cape, baby. All right, so cool. I'm gonna take a little break from the figures here. Well, maybe do two more since we're on a bounty hunter kick. Now here's okay. 4LOM, or as I've said in the past, as I've known him my whole life, Zuckuss. Now here's one that's an example of the gun not staying on. So trying each of them, it's kind of, it just doesn't work. So that's one downside to this. But yes, I've always known him as 4LO or as Zuckuss because that's how it was marked on the box. I've said this before. So it's like, and for anybody who's like, oh, come on, get over it. Imagine you've been told that the sky is blue your whole life, and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and they tell you, no, the sky's not blue, the sky is red, or the sky is polka dot. And you've been seeing it up there, and you've been seeing that color, and you've been registering that as blue. It messes with your head. Obviously, the sky is blue, so that probably isn't the best analogy. But imagine that, if that did happen. And, of course, we have Gengar, okay, which I love his costume. I think it's the most brilliant idea of Star Wars, you know, held together with spit and duct tape back in the day. Before there was such a thing as 3D printing, they were just kind of coming up with stuff all over the place, which is crazy. All right, so before I shift here, I do want to point out this is D-Tech Me from Disney, and this is Star Wars Carbon Freeze Me. Basically what I did was I went, and this was during one of the Star Wars weekends, so it's going back a number of years. I went to Star Wars weekends, only once, and they were doing this. So I went and I did the scan, the same kind of scanning that they do for actors to get their likenesses for the figures now. I did that kind of scanning, and they scanned it, and they showed me a couple of options. I chose one, and then if I get a little close up here, and there I am, frozen in carbonite. So that's it. It's kind of cool. It was about $100, so I wouldn't recommend it. They don't do it anymore. You don't do it every day. I'm kind of shocked that it hasn't become more of a steady thing. I don't know why it hasn't. Maybe the technology was too expensive to do. Maybe it was, actually I'll put this guy back in here. Maybe it was just not something that was ever intended to be a permanent thing. I don't know. All I do know is that it was awesome. And since then they've done things like Jedi, dressed as a Jedi, dressed as Leia, dressed as a pilot. I mean, it's been really great. Unfortunately, that was the only one I could do. That was the only option at the time. So that was that. But still, pretty cool stuff. All right, so I'm going to just close this and then open this one. And then I'm just going to shift my camera a little bit over here. Okay, again, we're just focusing on this shelf today. Now, break away. I'm going to move this guy along here. I'm going to take her out and move her along. I'm going to just point out here we have Rey. This is obvious. Oh, you can't see. Let me get it over here. If I can be really nice, if I can do this without knocking anything over. This is obviously a Hot Toys Rey figure. Pretty awesome. It's amazing to see this in comparison. In fact, I think I'm going to lower it down here to this shelf just because she really belongs on this shelf. These are all the Hot Toys Sideshow action figures. I mean, you can see the amazing. It's great to see the figures. You know, like here's Leia. Okay, Princess Leia from Empire Strikes Back. You can see this is obviously very faithful to the original figures, but it's amazing to think how far we've come from this to that. Of course, this, there's Rey again down here. Okay, this was, $2 figure. Rey was a lot more than $2. So, kind of comes either way. But still, these are a nostalgic bump. Here's Bush with the loose, fantastic weapon here. And there's her head. And they always had to have slightly smaller heads to fit the helmets on, which they really weren't doing much of until the third movie, The Return of the Jedi. Logray, the medicine Ewok, or the medicine man, and his thing also kind of comes loose. Okay, so I just kind of leave it at the side. We also have, okay, wrapping things up a little bit here, we got our Biker Scout, and we have Admiral Akbar, my favorite character. It's a trap! You can see here the Death Star orbiting the farthest moon of Endor. And then the Biker Scout, really cool. So, I was like, what is this he has in his hand? I don't get it. What is it? Is it a baton? Is it some kind of a horse riding whip? I mean, that's the kind of thing that these military guys have, and I don't get that. What is with that? I think some of them ride horses, so yeah, you would have one and hold on to it. But a lot of them didn't even ride horses, so what was that? Here's Luke. Now maybe some older guys and girls out there my age could remember this, but here's a rebel soldier, and here was Luke. But I swear that when they first came out with this figure, which came first, this one came first, in the first release of the Empire Strikes Back figures, they called this guy Luke. And then they came out with this one. So, I mean, then this became Rebel Trooper. I know they didn't change the name, but somewhere along the line, people were thinking that this was Luke. And then eventually they had this one, which was Luke. So, I think this actually came as a 2-pack with the Wampa, which I've shown in previous episodes. So, that's cool. All right, and sticking to our Hoth mode, we've got our Snow Trooper and our Han Solo in blue coat. I know there's been a debate on whether the coat was blue or the coat was brown. I've always thought the coat was blue. But again, if they did say, oops, poor Snow Trooper lost his weapon. But if they were to tell me that the coat was brown, I wouldn't protest. And lastly for this episode, and this, we have our illustrious AT-AT driver with weapon that he never had. But I never liked this weapon even when they were small. Because here's the thing. Alright, so you have them. I mean, first of all, when I hear cracking, I get a little nervous, okay? So it was never easy to put the gun on. You try to force it in, it does okay, right? It's pretty good. But eventually it'll pop out. So then you put the thing like around his shoulder, right? But in order to put it around his shoulder, you have to have him like giving somebody a high five, or holding a beer and doing a toast. So it's a little bit crazy. But anyway, that is the shelf, and they have not released all the figures. They released, meaning the original 94 figures from the line, they have not released all of them. They've released quite a bit though. I think they're up, I want to say they're up to 70. We'll see. But they have not released them all. So keep my eyes open, see what they can come up with. So anyway, that'll do it for this week's episode of Darth Tuba's Unboxing Show Shelf Talk. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Check me out on Instagram and Twitter. Those that do check me out on Instagram and Twitter, please go to the link. Please go to the YouTube channel and watch the video, or at least watch a little bit of the video. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Check out all my other videos on YouTube. Check out all my playlists on YouTube. And we have an upcoming Disney trip, so look for some cool stuff there. And until next time, do I have a Jedi here that can say something? No Jedi? Well, this guy has always said it, because he was one of the only non-Jedi to say it. May the Force be with you.